And anything that's made up of these four elements, ultimately they separate. There are those who separate after a few days. There are those that separate after many years. And whatever was composed of them, it's impossible they should not separate. And we'll go down to the Peirush, because they will separate. Even the gold and a type of precious stone, it's impossible that it won't return to its basic ingredients. That someone will return to be fire, or water, or wind, or earth. This is what it says, that everything it separates to its elements. That is a philosophical concept. The Rambam expanded it in his Sefer, on it in his Sefer Machon Nesher. The Abbot writes that everything that is lost from these elements, only if HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it so according to their nature. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, they can remain forever, even though it's made up from the four elements. And that's simple, it will remain alive. This is found in the Rambam, in Bereshis 2:17. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told man, when you eat from the tree of knowledge, you shall die. So Rambam writes, according to the concept of scientists, a person should have died from the very beginning of creation, even before he sinned, because he's made up of the four elements. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, when you eat, you'll die, that means if he sins, he will die because of his sin, as someone who's obligated to die from heaven because of his sin, even though that he would have to should have lived longer. The Rambam concludes, according to Chazal, our rabbis, if a person didn't sin, if man had never sinned, he would have never died. And the words of the Rambam are found in the Medrash Rambam Vayikra. Another point the Rambam tells us, you should know that the makeup does not show the loss. Ella, only according to those who have lack of faith, to say that the creation was of its own. That means that the world had nothing to do with the creation of God, but rather came about on its own. Therefore, the makeup is a lack. But according to those who believe with true faith that the world was created and continues to be recreated according to the desire of the Creator, the existence, it could be as long as HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it to be. And this is clear, that the world exists as long as the world God wants it to exist. And therefore, man is warned that if you eat from the Eitz Hadas, then God will cease to want him to exist forever. Oh, I'm in such a good mood. Since everything that's going to be lost will separate into these four elements, why does it say to man alone, we shall return to the dust? Rambam explains, it doesn't mean the kavanah of the pasuk to say that after his death he will be buried in earth, meaning that after his death he will go back to his essential elements from which man is made up. And therefore he asks, man is made up of four elements, why should it say the element of earth? And he answers, most of his makeup is from the element of earth, as we find in the pasuk that God took earth and created man. And not everything that falls apart or was lost will immediately fall apart into four basics. First it will change it to another form, and then that will get decomposed as well. And ultimately it will come back to their foundation, and then that will again create new things, and that will continue everything. But matter is finite according to this. Now, how could a person live forever? Everything has to go back to its place. So the Ramban writes that it could be that the fruit of Gan Eden were absorbed into the very limbs of man, like the manna, that came to Yisrael in the Midbar, who came to their very being, and that, therefore, they continue to exist even though they shouldn't, and then they could stay forever. When he was told, when you'll eat, you'll die, the intent is that it will not exist forever. Furthermore, man was cursed that he will have to work to create bread, because he and his food comes to the earth, and he's going to come back to the earth. Ramban answers that the reason for the pasuk he shall return to the earth is not only because he's the majority from earth, because of the fact he'll be eating bread, which comes from the ground, and so he's commanded to eat the grass or what grows in the field. Then this eating is considered like eating earth, and therefore his whole entire existence comes from that, and therefore it says, and you shall return to the earth. And Kodesh Baruch Hu said, you will go back to the earth. Rambam explains that the intent is not only will return to the ground, but his body will decompose and become earth. The Gemara tells us that they dug in the field of Rav Nachman. They found the grave of Rav Achai by Yoshio, and they saw that it was still whole. So Rav Nachman came and spoke to him. And at the end, he asked him, "How could it be he's existing like he was when he was living?" It says it will go back to, you will return to earth. And he answered him that that's one moment before Hilchos Yesodei. That's according to the Rambam here. The law of the Toshuv. It means that even a person has to return to earth. Like the Ramban, like the explanation of the Ramban, the Or HaChaim explains why the Torah gave two reasons to the person returning to earth. One was because you were taken from it, and because you are earth. Because it's not enough to say the first one, because before he died, he was sinned. He came from earth. Didn't have to return. Therefore, there's a second reason, because you are earth. To tell you, if he would have kept the mitzvahs, then his body would have been refined, and the spiritual would have had greater strength than the physical. But after the sin, the earth has the greater weight, and therefore he will have to return to the earth, the basic ingredient. Now the reason is brought down in Sefer Bris, why the Torah mentions only earth, because all the four basic ingredients come from the earth, and all of them are called earth and dirt, as we find in Keles. Everything was from earth, and from this reason the Malachim do not cease to exist, being that they're not made from all of these components.